He is obviously an aristocratic lady from the upper class, but because of his excessive beauty, he has become a tool for the lower class of society to release their sexual desires. What's even more tragic is that the first guest he received as an adult turned out to be his biological father, who had abandoned him. You are standing. Obviously, his father did not recognize him, but he knew it was his. But his father still brought it into the room, because he wanted his father to experience the sin of violating ethics. It was one of the few times he ways of revenge. After finishing, Angie burst into tears and sat on the ground for a long time without getting up. When the father learned that the other party was actually his biological daughter, he was so ashamed that he could not accept the reality, and chose to commit suicide to apologize. When she was a child, the girl should have had a happy life, with a father from a noble family and a gentle and virtuous mother. But unfortunately, her father didn't seem to like her. Later he learned that he was just an illegitimate daughter of his father's many children, and his mother was just a peasant woman. Soon after, her mother's appearance declined, and both mother and daughter were kicked out of the house. With no source of income, her mother saw that Angie had to choose another way to make money. But because this kind of life did not last long, her mother became infected with the disease. Angie could only hope that her mother would get better soon. Unfortunately, his mother left him, and he became an orphan when he was only 8 years old. From that moment on, a seed of hatred quietly sprouted in his heart, but at this moment, he didn't know that his nightmare had just begun. After her mother died, Angie was sold to a perverted duke, and became their money-making tool. She grew up in deception and despair. However, as an adult, Angie had a charming face. When he saw the man who had abandoned their mother and daughter again, the hatred in his heart came like a violent storm, and he decided to take revenge on his father. So he took his father into the room. After the incident, his father learned the truth and chose to commit suicide, but he took advantage of the chaos and escaped that night. I thought, I will live an ordinary life from now on. But God was so unfair to him. 2 women spotted him on the boat, beat him seriously after getting off the boat, and robbed him of all his savings. Just when Angie was in a coma, he was sold to a vicious woman. From then on, he was heartbroken, no longer trusted anyone, and repeated the cold work every day, until this man appeared. At this time, he never imagined that this man would change his life. On this day, Jack on the farm undoubtedly caught a glimpse of Angie, who was wandering around. His beautiful face and noble temperament could not help but make Jack lose his mind for a moment. At one glance, he fell in love with this girl. Even though his friends told him that Angie was a dirty woman, he didn't care because he felt that as long as he liked it, it would be fine. When they first met, Angie thought he was the same as the usual guests, but Jack just stood there and politely told him that he would not do anything, and just wanted to marry her. Hearing this, Angie looked disdainful. He didn't believe Jack's lies at all, because he felt that all the men who came here were coveting his body. Seeing Jack still saying that he wanted to marry her, Angie impatiently drove him away. But in the days that followed, Jack came to see him almost every day, and sometimes even spent twice as much money twice a day. Each time he only talked about doing nothing before. Angie thought he would do something this time, but unexpectedly, Jack still said that he wanted to marry her and go home. He finally grew impatient and told Jack firmly. After that, the house was filled with the sound of his beatings. The next day, Jack came to the tavern again. What he saw was Angie, who was beaten to a pulp. He was very sad, so he told the landlady to take Angie away. Looking at the seriously injured Angie, the landlady said, "Just give me the money." So Jack gave him all his belongings. Before he left, he held Angie's hand and asked her again, "Will you marry me?" That's it. He took Angie back to the farm. As soon as he got home, Jack took the ring left by his mother. He gave it to Angie and promised to take good care of her. But Angie didn't plan to be his wife at all. Because of the suspicion in people's hearts, he had long erased his innocence. He didn't believe that there would be true love in this world. A few days later, Angie's injury was almost healed. When he saw Jack going out, he took the opportunity to escape. When Jack came back, all he saw was the ring left by Angie. Jack immediately chased him out. Angie, who couldn't escape, didn't go far. When he saw Jack chasing him, Angie instinctively thought he was coming to catch himself. Angie turned her head angrily and gave Jack a slap. What surprised her was that Jack didn't get angry or force her to go back with him. He just gave her a bottle of water and a piece of clothing. That way is paradise. 19 more miles. The Duchess of McGowan is waiting for you at the end of the road. That way, 1 mile downhill. The fire, the food, and your husband. After saying that, Angie quietly left. Angie couldn't turn around on the original floor. She looked at Jack's back as he left. Maybe she still believes that everything Jack said to her is true. At night, she saw Angie coming back. Jack didn't say a word. He just brought her food that he had already prepared and gave her a basin of water to wash her feet. When she saw Angie's feet being rubbed, she gently wiped them for her. Angie looked at the gentle and considerate man in front of her. The cold heart was slowly melting. In order to repay Jack, she specially asked Jack to sleep on the bed. She didn't want Jack to refuse her directly, because she just wanted to wait until the day Angie really fell in love with her. That's it. They lived a simple and ordinary life. Jack taught her to farm. They fed chickens and fish together. These are the happiness that Angie has never had before. The next morning, Jack brought Angie to the mountain. They looked forward to the rising sun. However, Angie was not very happy when she heard her words. Instead, she was sad. Because of the miserable past. She felt that she didn't deserve this beauty at all. Angie was deeply moved. Maybe until this moment the two of them completely fell in love. But the happy time is always so short. The day Jack's brother-in-law Paul came back suddenly, he recognized Angie at a glance. But he didn't expose it. He just took advantage of Jack's absence and humiliated Angie, and said Jack was a better girl. After that, he came to Jack again and advised him not to marry such a woman. Jack told Paul that no matter what others say, he was determined to be with Angie. Even so, Angie still decided to leave. He left the ring and sneaked out. But because there was no source of income, he started his old job again. After Jack knew it, he went to the tavern and took him back. They didn't say a word on the way. But at night, Jack hid in the stable and cried secretly. This scene was seen by Angie. Her heart full of expectation and hope was destroyed in an instant. She knew she had hurt Jack. She tried hard to wash her body. It seems that only in this way can you wash away the dirt of the past. But fortunately, Jack appeared in time. Under the comfort of her heart, Angie's mood gradually calmed down. Under the tree, Angie told her about her miserable past, and Jack planned their future. In this way, they lived a beautiful and peaceful life again. Not long after, a new neighbor moved into the farm. Their eldest daughter was the same age as Angie. The youngest was just born. The family was happy and became good friends with Jack. However, this kind of life didn't last long. Because she knew Jack liked children, she couldn't get pregnant at all. So she confessed to Jack that she had a child with Jack. In order to make it easier for her to make money, she took her child away and used a special device to make her lose the possibility of getting pregnant again. Jack didn't mind when he heard it. Instead, he comforted her. However, the more Jack was like this, his guilt grew stronger. Although he accepted Jack's love, he also truly loved Jack. But it was this sincerity that made him make a decision in his heart. He knew that the neighbor's eldest daughter was gentle and kind. Only she deserved Jack's love. So that day, he simply set up the house. After dinner, he took Jack to their first date. Under the witness of the sunset, they had a happy conversation. The next morning, Angie left the ring and a letter to the girl. She left again. The letter said that she wanted the girl to be Jack's wife instead of her. Maybe she thought she couldn't give Jack too much, or maybe she hadn't found the real meaning of her stay. But she didn't know Jack only had her in his heart. But this time, Jack didn't go after her again. Because he respected Angie's choice. Angie came to San Francisco. But she didn't start over. She just came to a restaurant to be a cook. But this ordinary life didn't last long. She was seen by the cruel eunuch again. He took her back to the hell like a nightmare. As soon as she entered the room, she saw two 8-year-old girls. She recalled her past experience. So she made up her mind to save the two girls. So she listened to the eunuch. She performed on stage. She came to the stage quietly. In front of all the women, she told everyone about the eunuch's scandals and crimes. The Duke angrily pulled him into the room. Just when he was about to get the gun, a black man suddenly came in and rescued him. He immediately ran out and took away the two girls. The Duke's evil deeds aroused public outrage, and he finally received his due retribution and was hanged on the doorstep. 3 years later, Jack's brother-in-law Paul accidentally saw Angie on the street and followed him all the way to find out that Angie was working as a cook in the church. Jack and the neighbor girl were already married, but Paul said that Jack had been waiting for him. He couldn't believe that Jack was so infatuated with him, so he silently made a decision to find his lover. At this moment, the kind-hearted Jack is still working hard on the farm, and seems to have telepathy with each other. The moment he looked back, he saw the girl he had fallen in love with at first sight again. Bathed in the sunshine, they felt each other's heartbeats again. Maybe it was this sincere and ordinary love that moved God. In the end, Angie became pregnant with her own child. People will face various choices in their life. If you make the right choice, maybe he will be the salvation of your life, and you don't want to talk about it anymore.